What's your experience as an artist, but also trying to live a civilian life at the same time?
Well, you know, I've been writing as long as I can remember. My mother said I started writing before I could even, really formulate sentences. So that's how I know it was just a hereditary thing that was just in me. It's interesting. Sometimes people will reach out that I haven't talked to in a long time. Are you still writing? And it's like, if I'm still breathing, yeah. Even if I'm not writing long forms and even if I'm not sharing what I'm writing, I'm still writing somewhere. I'm still writing. So my experience with being a artist or writer and civilian is, I'm not in it for the fame or money. It's to share my heart and potentially touch another heart, you know? And in the meantime, I have to make a living. So, sometimes it's a little discouraging because I'll look at the book report, on Amazon, the KDP report, Kindle Direct Publishing, and I'll see what the sales are, especially after something comes out. And it's a little discouraging because I'm like, wow, I spent all this time on this and oh, okay, that's fine, but I'm like, you know what? I'm not in it for that. It would be great, but you just have to press on. And there was off topic, but not really off topic. Several months ago, I was interested in someone who was very financially driven. And he said something to me that stuck with me. And he asked me about my writing and said, are you making a living at this? Or is it just a hobby? And it struck a nerve because I was like, just a hobby? This is my passion. And anything can happen overnight. You never know when years and years of work is going to turn into something. It may come, it may never come, but you just never know. So,
And I'm pausing just because right there, that's an Instagram clip right there. That's going to be a motivational artist inspiration of the week right there. But no, you're exactly right. It's for me one of the hardest, and what I'm learning too is, and I had an acting, or no, it wasn't an acting teacher who said this. I heard this on a podcast from Patrick Bet David, I believe. He said, sometimes if the person's, it's not that you need them to be ultra supportive, but if they're going to be negative and always shoot stuff down, it's better not even to share what you're doing with some people. And that's what I've learned. Like, because like you start explaining what you're doing, well, it's a podcast and you do this, and they're like, well, how much money are you making?
yes.
That's the immediate thing they go to. Like, you can work your ass off and spend hours and produce or write or whatever it is. And the number one question I would say a lot of people who aren't involved in creative things will ask is like, well, are you making money? like, uh, is that all you do? And it's like, I've just learned, because it's just best not even to go there a lot of times now. That, at least for me, that's what I'm learning. It's like, you know what? I don't need you to pat me on the back and give me encouragement, but I don't need you to give me discouragement either.
Yes. Yes. And it can be very discouraging. Like, I was working an event. Was this? I can't remember. Was it before or after Redwoods? Ah, it was after. And there was an artist there who, drew caricatures. Anyway, he asked what else I did. I told him about my books, and he was like, oh, you're never going to make any money doing that. Nobody reads anymore. I'm like, thank you. Thanks. I'm like, there are people that read. He was like, well, bookstores are going obsolete. You know that, right? Nobody reads because bookstores are, I'm like, but bookstores do still exist and there are still readers. I know them. Granted, I can't rely on the 10 readers I know to, support my lifestyle, but there are readers. So, it's just a lot of people are financially driven, and I get it, especially in this economy, that we have to find ways to make a living. And some people don't believe in doing anything that isn't making money, which is, to be honest, I feel sad for them because there's more to life than just creating revenue. You know, what are you passionate about? Is all you're passionate about is just money? It's great to make money. We all need to survive. Yes, no doubt. However, that can't be the only drive you have, because that piece of paper, money, if you have all the money in the world, then what? What's going to, wake you up every day and motivate you if you don't have anything that you have to make money for? And, your account is filled with billions. What's your driving factor? What are you passionate about? What gets you excited and brings a smile to your face? How are you touching other people's lives? There's got to be something else.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I fight it all the time. I fought it for years, and you just have to accept the reality that in this third dimension, you have to pay rent. You got to pay bills. They're not going to stop. And it's like, I feel as an artist, like, especially, I'm not saying it hasn't been that way for all time, because I'm sure they had to pay certain things, but you just couldn't probably sit around and paint all day in most situations, unless you came from wealth or whatever. But at the same time, I feel like today, it's getting harder and harder. And I know the argument back, someone's going to say, well, there's more ways to make money than there ever has been. You can make money you can do this, yes, that is a true statement. But I find myself gravitating toward people but said, like, what if it didn't have to be that way? Like, what if, and this, I'm going off into way left field here, but like, what if you could just create all the time? Like, what if would our society be even, could it be something completely different?
That'd be amazing. I want to move there.
We'll get the spaceship ready. It's like, if people could, like, your only job was to get in tune and find the highest version of yourself and figure out what it is that you would be best spending your time. And one question, I'm bringing all this up because I've been in a lot of conversations with a lot of different artists lately. People say, follow your passion, and the money comes. Well, I don't really think that's necessarily true all the time. Is it true for some people? Yes, but there's some things that you're passionate about and like to do that may never generate $1. And there's some things that you could care less about, but it makes tons of money. So,
right.
So it's a weird dance. And I feel the older I get, the more it's like, you kind of get viewed upon as like, oh, that was cute when you were in your early 20s trying to do this stuff. And now it's like, hey man, isn't it time to, what are you doing? Like,
but then you know what? Everybody has one thing in common. We're all going to die. So if it makes you happy and you're not hurting anybody, am I allowed to cuss on here?
Absolutely.
If it makes you happy and you're not hurting anybody, do whatever the fuck you want. If it brings you joy, do whatever the fuck you want. Do whatever the fuck you want. If it, we're all on borrowed time and we don't know how long we have. So, and nobody can tell you what brings joy to your life, what brings purpose to your life. If somebody wants to sit and scroll TikTok all day and that makes them happy, cool. If sitting with the birds and feeding them makes you happy, cool. If that's your joy, dive into that. We all have a different version of joy. And not all of our joy is going to provide income, but it will provide sustenance in some way or form here.